So Super Bowl, let's do it. Super Bowl 57 happening 10:30 in the morning. Monday, we've got the Chiefs versus the Eagles. Two exceptionally well-balanced and, I don't know, matched up teams.
Yeah.
You got two of the, like basically across the season, these are the two highest scoring teams of the year, if you include the playoffs. Of course, they've made it all the way to the end. So it helps bump up your average a little bit.
Yeah, but still,
but still also had an Eagles team that had a really good defense all season. With the KC defense, it's actually, not too bad. I think they ranked 11th in some of those sort of key metrics.
Okay.
Whether it be in, I think in terms of points allowed per game, they're at 16th. I think in yards per game, they're at about 11th across the regular season. But we've also got two pretty high scoring teams, which makes some of this really, really fun because it essentially just opens up the field to what you think is going to happen. And you can just go crazy with your player props.
Have a few bets. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to start there. Let's go player props. I mean, this is the one I mentioned in, I believe, yesterday's Colbert Daily, the Mahomes over 275 yards.
Yeah, I really like this one, yeah.
I'm going with the Mahomes over yards for this game. My lean for all of this is Patrick Mahomes has no option but to sling the leather.
Yeah, he has to, yeah. Yep.
If you throw in 3+ touchdowns there, it's like at 375 over a blue bet, and you'll be able to find that pretty much anywhere you're looking. Around those sorts of odds, it just feels like a good sort of value play for a team that might not win, but have zero option outside of just going, how do we keep up with Philly? How do we pierce this defense? We can't run on them. That defensive line is too good. Right, we're just going to throw it.
We're just going to have to chuck it long.
Mahomes
It'll be good to watch. It'll be good to watch.
And basically that I mean, similar to the game against the Bengals last week, right? They couldn't really run the ball that well last week, 2 weeks ago. Essentially, though, they couldn't run the ball, and you saw Mahomes on one leg, top 326 yards in the air. And it's going to be a similar sort of vibe, I think, because the pass rush of this Eagles team is really good. They had over 70 sacks on the season, which is crazy.
That is huge, yeah. Wow.
Almost a record-setting season.
Do you know the record? Oh.
The record was, I think, the 86 Bears.
Oh, geez.
And that sort of 75, 76 range. And they came very, very, very close. So,
very cool.
Which is gnarly, because that's like literally thought of as the greatest defense of all time.
Wow.
There with the frozen tundra. Anyway, the vibe of Philly will be Mahomes scrambling, trying to get out of the pocket, rolling out, just trying to dump off quickly before he gets absolutely obliterated, especially with that ankle. So I like all of the Mahomes overplays, 3+ touchdowns, the yards. I'd stay away from his scrambling yards just because with that bung wheel, you just don't know how far. I wouldn't mind if you go maybe the 20-yard mark for a Mahomes sort of scramble bet. I would be okay with that because literally the amount of times this defense will have everything covered and his last option will be, I need to get 5 yards that way.
Yeah.
He just somehow just finagles 5-6 yards a couple of times and you've hit your 20. But I'd sort of steer clear of the bigger numbers with that. Then, shall we talk about some of his targets? Travis Kelce, the big gun.
What a gun.
Anytime touchdown for me. Love it. 75 yards over, going that as well. It's one of those tricky ones because I think you can throw on Philly for yards. The scoring might not be quite there. Kelce for his touchdown, though. The dude scored 8 in the last 9 playoff games for the Chiefs, which is just a crazy record.
That is nuts, yeah.
And the 75 yards, seriously, like Mahomes, it's like the only option he's going to have for so many plays. It's like 10 yards here, 10 yards here, a 24-yard like completion here, and you're basically almost like you're halfway there.
Yeah, cool.
A couple more and off you go. His reception numbers, like the actual amount of times he takes a catch, I'd probably lean like some of those that can actually, be listed pretty high, like the 11, 12. I'd probably sit around the 8-ish mark, and he sort of still hits that 75 yards. Isaiah Pacheco, I mentioned this yesterday, the receiving and rushing. If you combine that, I love his over the 60 because I think it's once in the last 11 games he's not had a combined rushing.
You were saying that. Yeah, that was an awesome stat actually.
So it's going to be tough to run on this Eagles thing. I think his receiving yards is where it picks up. We saw it pop off against the Bengals, over 20 yards. That's just by itself. It's like $2.20. I love that.
Great value, yeah.
An anytime touchdown as well for Pacheco. Here for it. Love it. And as I've mentioned, I think I mentioned this one on this yesterday's show, Kelce, Pacheco, and Jalen Hurts to score a touchdown, 850. Nice. Love that sort of stuff. But there's just a very simple one as well. If you don't want to go too crazy, the 2 touchdown play from Mahomes with the passes and a Kelce anytime touchdown, that alone is $2.25. That feels like your safest bottom out.
Yeah, that could be a lot lower.
That should happen.
Yeah.
Off we go. The 225.
Surprised about that one. Cool. Yeah.
If we want to flip it to the other side, stats guy. These are all just my player props, mate. This is my
yeah.
player
You could have a whole podcast about player props.
I could just do the entire thing. I'll just be talking about players till the cows come
I can tell. You're loving this.
I'm so excited.
Keep it going. I'm pumped as well. I'm pumped.
Just wait till you see me actually hosting the live stream.
You're gonna go off.
I'll be giddy with beers. But also, Eagles side of the ball. Look, in terms of the other guys, I think for KC, I don't have a giant amount of faith. Like Marquez Valdes-Scantling, anytime touchdown score, if you want to lean on somebody basically
bit more value
outside of Kelsey, outside of Pacheco, good value there. I find it hard to sort of trust literally the brace of receivers that Mahomes will have outside of Kelsey or Pacheco with an anytime touchdown score, because
that's fair.
You can see in this game he could have 9 receiving targets who have like players who have caught receptions from Mahomes. So I just find it a bit tough, but you know that in the red zone, it's going to be Kelsey. They're going to try to run it in. Pacheco ran one in last game. It got called back because of it.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
But they're my 2 heavy leans, obviously. Outside of that, I'm a little bit sketchy. Maybe Jerick McKinnon, if you like him, sort of on a bit of a wheel route as a running back as well.
Perfect.
He and Pacheco will probably sort of split that role. Don't mind McKinnon. Philly. I love the Jalen Hurts over the rushing yards. I think I have that
rushing. Yeah, I've got a thing about that as well.
25 plus rushing yards.
Perfect.
I don't want to tag too many like prices in some of these ones because you'll find them sort of all over the shop. They sort of sit similar-ish. But I mean, you can basically, you find the play, you find your price. We've got them
change between now and Monday as well.
We've got them all on site. So like the Hurts thing, for instance, is like 45 plus rushing yards. That sits in about the lower end. But that's where I'm happy with. And that's $1.56 as I'm looking at it right now.
Good for a multi. Yeah.
Exactly. So the 45, feel good about that. I think he goes over. I think the KC pass rush comes at him pretty hard. And again, similar to Mahomes would if he was healthy, bounces out either side, picks up some few yards here and there. 45, I think that's nothing for Hurts. He could rip that off in like, I don't know, two rushes, maybe even like scripted rushes for him too. Love the over the rushing. Don't like he's over at the passing. I'd stick like you keep that on the lower side just because in terms of his rushing over the course of this, the rushing is much more, I don't know, predictable, I think.
That's what he's going to do, and he's done that most games I was looking at earlier,
And we know that his shoulder is still a bit sore, so the passing, look, it'll be there when you need it. And I'm going to go A.J. Brown with his over receiving yards, but I'd still stick with the under of the Jalen Hurts passing yards just because any number that gets above 200, I'd just be a little bit worried of him essentially going, oh, well, we've already got a lead. Let's salt this away.
Take it easy. Yeah.
And they've got a battery of battering rams in their running backs, right? And that's how it goes. So I'd steer clear of the Hurts over passing. I go with the Hurts anytime score a touchdown himself. That you can find that everywhere. It's around that.
That's what I love. I love that bet. Yep.
AJ Brown over 70 yards. I love that too. The big wide receiver hasn't had a great playoffs. I think they go to him early and often just to see what they can do against KC. That's around that sort of $1.75-ish mark too. I'd stick away from the Devonta Smith yardage if you're going to go probably the under. But I mean, so many places with the Super Bowl don't really quite give you the over-under option for a lot of these. It's just like, is it going to be 60 plus?
Yeah, 60.
So just keep that in mind. Miles Sanders, same sort of thing with the rushing. I think he goes under. He's like a popular play, but in terms of like the sheer volume of carries, I think he'll get carries. It'll be short yardage a lot of the time. Sanders can break off the odd big one here and there though, but if his yardage is around that sort of 65 mark, I'd play the under. And Dallas got it, the big tight end. I love
what a name. That's a good name.
He's just been sitting there for like the last couple of weeks. I just love him as an anytime touchdown scorer because
okay.
This is the clincher here, stats guy.
It is.
All the stuff with the Eagles.
Yep.
In the red zone, KC allow, I think, a touchdown on 68% of their possessions in the red zone. That's a lot.
That sounds like a lot.
That is Philly score on 68% of their red zone possessions. That's amazing.
That's great. That's good.
Add those two together, I feel like
you got touchdowns,
you got the big tight end, big target. We talked about this on Fox Sports Lab NFL this week. Freddie Mitchell's like, but Jaymz, they go against the best tight end in the game each week in practice. And I'm like, it's not going to matter if Dallas got it. It's the biggest dude in the end zone.
Yeah, exactly. That helps, doesn't it?
It's kind of where I like him for the first touchdown as well. He scored the first touchdown, I think, against the Giants in the first week of the playoffs.
Right.
So you can actually get a pretty good
you get great value.
Him, like around that sort of, I don't know, like, actually, I should have checked that one, but it's
that's okay. It'd be around $10, wouldn't it?
It's still a good one. So look at the got it. And if we go anytime, I'll just check that right now. Boom. 15. Yeah, so perfect. I like that.
Awesome. Yeah.
I mean, just as a little bit of your outsider, if you don't, the sort of $8, $9 for the
more value,
Sanders and stuff, just sort of pumps it up if you're going to have like one little look. So there you go. That's basically my offensive.
Man, that is awesome. That is so good.
Either side of the ball, and I've got more. So
if you can't find a good bet in there, then there's something wrong with you, I reckon.
You're joking yourself, mate. What have you got, Stats Guy?
I'm not as much depth as you, but I've found a few interesting ones. A bit more on the negative side. I do love Patrick Mahomes, but I'm going for him 1+ intercepted pass. So, and that's, you get $1.91. I think it might, $1.80 to $1.91 on all of our sites. He averages, obviously, a lot of passing attempts. He just loves flinging the pigskin, as you just said. Averages 38 passing attempts a game. He had 12 interceptions during the season, 0 in the postseason, but he's yet to face a defense like Philly. I think, Philly were third best in interceptions in the league with 17, which is a lot. And Mahomes actually does well in most of the playoffs in the postseason, but across his last 2 Super Bowls has had 4 intercepted passes. So, averaging 2 per Super Bowl. I think he's going to pass so often with that ankle as well. He's not going to be running or rushing at all. So, or maybe not at all, but very often because he wants to rest that ankle. So I think if he's going to even pass that average of 38, could in the 40s of passing, I think he's going to have at least 1 intercepted pass. And it's a good multi.
I really like that because
there we go.
Like you talk about the volume, and that's kind of it. Like if we see
he's going to pass him maybe 50 times, even
40, 50 times in this game. Which he had 43 against the Bengals. He only had 30 against the Jags, but obviously didn't play for a quarter of that game. 42, 41, 42, 42, 68.
68. I saw that actually. That's crazy.
It's just there's going to be a lot of times where something gets a bit wonky, and with that pass rush, with that defense of Philly,
I think it's going to happen at least once. They got such a good defense, so I think that's good value, $1.91. A bit of a negative one, but you can't go against Philly's defense, I reckon. And then my other one, I'm going back to Philly. I think you've said this one, Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. Bit surprised that's over $2, so $2.10 on Bet365. I think there was a lot of sites were under like $1.90ish, under $2, but you can get still on Bet365. So jump on that. He's had 50. You loved him to rush, so he's had 15 rushing touchdowns in 17 games, which is unbelievable for a quarterback. He's just very capable of running more than passing, and he can easily do that against KC. I think. He's found the end zone in rushing in 7 of his last 9 matches as well. So I'm just loving what he's doing. And Oh, actually, that's the other thing I was going to say. The Chiefs as well have conceded the 5th most rushing yards in the league and the 6th most rushing touchdowns from a quarterback. So finding all the stats here, and it's backing up. You can't go against Jalen Hurts over $2 for a touchdown.
That's just great stats going by stats.
I just had to look into those stats. I didn't. Surprise, Chiefs just aren't good at defending the rush. So he's going to go for it. Obviously, he can't go against those stats.
Fantastic.